Who knows? What's up, guys? Hello. Happy Wednesday. We are back. How's everybody doing today? Of course, this is Let Me Get That Potograph live and in living color. As always, every single episode of the show, we stream live while we record for you guys to check out. So please hang out, ask any questions you would like, any comments, anything that you would like us to talk about, and we will get to those on either possibly during the episode, if not at the end of the episode. We got a really great guest that will be talking about here soon. I guess we just started going live, so everyone missed that first part, even though it told me I was live before. I have no idea. What's up, guys? Welcome to
the show. Who the fuck knows?
Who knows? Who has any idea? Oh, now they're gonna bleep us. First 30 seconds we said fuck. Oops, I said it again. All right, but
wait, wait, what do you mean bleep? You do the editing?
No, YouTube. 30 seconds in. After 30 seconds, you can cuss. You got 30 seconds.
Oh.
Yeah, they bleep the first 30 seconds for those of you that don't know.
Well, I want to test that theory next week. The entire first 30 seconds, the only thing we're going to say is just yeah, exactly.
I hear you. But guys, we are back. Episode 207 will be kicking off here in just a minute. Hope everybody is doing well. But we got a very special guest that's going to join us soon. So, Scott, I think we should probably just get right into the audio version of the show.
All right, we can do that.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 207 of Let Me Get That Potograph. My name, of course, is Drew, or the DH, and joining me, my co-host, Mr. Scott Rappaport. What up, dude?
What's up, man? Hey, so do you remember what episode that I started on as a co-host as opposed to a regular guest?
I do not know.
We need to look that up because I am fast approaching episode 100.
I think so. I believe so. That. Yeah, I think it's close to 100. We definitely need to look that up.
And that may coincide with a live Christmas episode.
Yes.
Although I guess it's not really as special as it was because we do every episode live on YouTube.
Yeah, but we have, our live special episodes with special guests. It's normally at night. There's normally lots of different stuff. So we could make it a jumbo sized, Oh,
yeah.
Kind of.
We'll bring back past guests that I've interviewed, such as the Ice Ball.
Yes.
And the 15-year-old bottle of scotch that I just picked up last week. He'll be a new guest this particular week. And maybe we'll have some new slabs to show off at that point too. Some of the really cool offerings from Red Rocket.
Yes, we will be talking about them later.
Which we will talk about a little bit later in the show.
Get ready, guys. Red Rocket exclusives coming your way.
Speaking of exclusives.
You caught it.
Yeah. Speaking of exclusives, Drew, you had a conversation with our buddy, who, can we name him?
Yes. Oh, yes. Public.
Had a conversation with our buddy Brian Gray the other day, and you got some exciting news that Brian has filled you in on. And why don't you just go ahead and come out with it?
Absolutely. So I believe he actually did end up putting out a video on this now. I believe the video is up as he's being known now. And Brandy himself, Big Bri, the card guy, Brian Gray, has made a pretty bombshell announcement. Now, it has not been confirmed by the companies. However, after speaking with Brian and knowing what he's doing with his new venture, this would not have been made public had he not known this for a fact. So I'm going with this as a fact. But according to Brian Gray, Fanatics has already agreed in principle or gotten pen on paper to sign the 3 top quarterbacks at least again for next year with Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, and Penix. All 3 are supposedly now Fanatics exclusives or will be Fanatics exclusives very, very soon. And Scott, I could talk about this for a long time because I have a lot of opinions on it, but we're approaching a time with this next draft is going to be the biggest, one of the best and most talented drafts we've had in possibly a decade. like top to bottom, not just those three quarterbacks. It's stacked. But we have three very strong, very pro-ready quarterbacks that are now going to be taken out of the licensed autograph market yet again, 2 years in a row in the NFL hobby. First off, what do you even think about the news?
I'm not surprised.
No.
I am curious because there was speculation, and again, there was never any proof. This is just me speculating, and it's not even me speculating. Other people have speculated this. This is me repeating what other people have speculated.
Speculation.
Yes, was that Fanatics told the guys that they signed in the last draft class that if you don't sign an exclusive with us, that you're never going to have an autograph deal with us, period.
Oh, I can pretty much confirm that happened.
So the question is, one, I mean, is that true? I have no idea.
Yes.
And two, if that was true, did they use the same heavy-handed tactics this go around as well? And you're going to talk about how crappy it is for the hobby as a whole to have that situation, because you're under the impression the Fanatics is shooting themselves in the foot.
Well, in a way, I think they are.
In a way, but my thought was that this is Fanatics shooting Panini in the head.
Yes. No. Oh, absolutely. No. This was 100. This, if it is in fact true, is 1000% Fanatics taking a kill shot at Panini. This is a headshot at Panini to try and take them down and really, really hurt them next year as opposed to this year. Because if you look at the football hobby this year, the fact that we don't have Stroud, Levis, and Richardson autographs has tremendously hurt this hobby. If CJ Stroud had autographs right now in the NFL hobby, like actual licensed autographs, they would be massive. Now, granted, his other stuff has risen. His other stuff is strong, and that's great. And yes, Bijan Robinson, Tank Dell, people like that are getting recognition. That's great for the hobby. I love that. I've always been a proponent of we need more than just quarterbacks to chase after. However, the people spending the hundreds of thousands of dollars it takes to move this type of product, they want to chase those guys. So for 2 years in a row, you're not going to have the top names and the top chases in the hobby, which can only hurt the overall football market yet again. And this is where I think it hurts Fanatics. I get that they want to hurt Panini, but it hurts Fanatics in the card aspect, because if the NFL market continues to go down, what on earth is that market going to look like when they do take over? Do you want to take over a market that has been in literal shambles for 2 years and just what you think because you took over and now Caleb Williams, for example, can have licensed autos in his 4th year, that's going to make a difference? No. But that's where I see a major issue with Fanatics doing this. Like, I totally get why they're doing it, because outside of a hobby perspective, they offer so much to these athletes with the jerseys. The NFLPA and everything has these new agreements with Fanatics and NFL that, the jersey sales, the merchandise, the memorabilia, it goes way beyond cards. But from a hobby side, I think they're playing a very risky game with the football market, taking these names out. Obviously, they don't want Panini to have them, but what have they done with Stroud, Levis, and Richardson this year? They got those exclusives. What has Topps done with them? Nothing.
Well, because they haven't put out a product.
Well, they've had Ginter, they've had this. They've put out a couple of unlicensed Topps Now cards that I think is hilarious, that people are scooping up like crazy from Topps while simultaneously bitching about Panini being unlicensed. Yet as soon as the CJ Stroud Topps Now card comes out, it's freaking awesome. I find that funny. But I don't know, man. This is a dangerous, dangerous game they're playing. I don't like it. And I think that from a hobby-only standpoint, like I said, from a Fanatics overall business standpoint, it makes total sense. Merchandise, all the exclusives, deals, signings, all that makes sense. From a hobby standpoint, you could really, really be hurting yourself with the NFL.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I still think it's funny that, of all people that's breaking this, it's Brian Gray, who, did something very similar to this with Jack Eichel.
Yes. Yes,
When he was the number 1 draft pick. And look, Brian, I love you, man. But, the exact same thing was done.
Yes.
Getting Eichel an exclusive that wasn't with Upper Deck. And they, just to try to muscle in on the hockey market. And, all of a sudden it's like when the top guys in football are doing it. Granted, football cards are significantly larger market than than hockey cards.
Now, granted, Brian didn't throw any shade on anybody. He was simply reporting what he heard. So, he's reporting from sources, which if, people have sources, and then there's Brian Gray's sources. I'll tell you right now, you don't have any better. So I firmly believe this is 1,000% true, but it's going to be very interesting to watch because, like I said, I think this is a dangerous game Fanatics is playing with the football hobby that they plan on controlling for the next decade. Now, I can also see from their side them saying whatever, it offsets in jersey sales, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Well, look back at baseball with the strike. Now, granted, this isn't the same thing. How long did it take baseball to recover?
Hold on. Which strike are we talking about?
All right, late 90s. No, after the home run derby, after the steroid scandal, all that, and
okay.
How long did it take the baseball market to recover? 5, 7 years?
Yeah, it took a while.
Okay, so all right, so you want to destroy the football market and then take it over? Like, makes no sense.
No sense. Unless they want to, unless they want to come in
rookie autos.
No, unless their theory is they want to destroy it while Panini's got it, and then they come in and they look like a savior. But because people have a very short memory.
Yeah, but you still punish all of the people that are collecting. Like all the people that Fanatics is hurting the hobbyists that are eventually going to be solely their customers in terms of football, baseball, basketball.
I don't think it's going to be that big of a hit because so many of those collectors bitch and moan about Panini and the quality and the redemptions and the, all that kind of stuff. And yet they're still going out and buying the product.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. They're going to buy it, but it's going to be a lot more complaining. And I just think it's going to have a major effect on the NFL market. And I'm a little worried about what's going to happen with 2 years in a row of this.
And this is one of those times where I'm really glad that from a card standpoint, I'm really not a football guy.
Yeah, no, I am a big football guy, but I'll tell you right now, it's been a year where I haven't bought any. I haven't bought much, and I have honestly, outside of Keaton Mitchell, which I told you guys he was going to blow up for the Ravens, my ECU boy, I have not been collecting guys whatsoever. I've not been buying the boxes just because I know what the potential is, and that's where I don't know. It's a dangerous game, but Brian Gray dropping some major news that the top 3 quarterbacks from next year's draft, Bo Nix, Penix, and of course Caleb Williams, all planning on signing or have already signed and not been announced with Fanatics. So it's going to be interesting.
Speaking of interesting,
yes,
we got our guest here.
Yes, we do have a very special guest who I've wanted to have on for a long time now. We're going to get him in here right now. I'm sure you guys have seen him all over the interwebs. The man himself, the Card Carver. What's up, Tom? How's it going?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing excellent. Thank you for representing with my cubbies on top right up there.
Yeah, always, man. Born and raised.
Nice. We'll have to talk about that off the air because also born and raised.
Awesome.
So,
love it.
Yeah, I had no idea you were that close to me.
Yeah, well, so I'm not anymore. So I was born and raised just north of Chicago, and I've been in Maine for a long time. But I grew up through the '80s and the very early '90s of Chicago and Chicago fandom, which is arguably the best era of any.
Of course.
Anything.
Now, so now that you're not there anymore, I can actually ask you because I'm also from north of Chicago.
Yep.
Which town?
Grays Lake.
Okay, you're way north.
Yeah.
Then okay, that makes sense. I grew up in Northbrook, a little bit further south,
Yeah.
a little closer to the city. But yeah, you were way north.
Yep.
So okay, awesome. All right. So now that we got that out of the way,
Yes.
what do you got going on?
Yeah, how's everything going, man?
Everything's going good. It's kind of right now. I'm actually working on planning things for the next national. I'm always looking ahead. I feel like for what I do and as in terms of any types of like strategy, I do work a lot of long plays that involve, a lot of networking and stuff. And as you guys know, you start working with companies and, corporations and other businesses like that, um, it's not as simple as when you're doing a collaboration, maybe with, another artist or something where it's just direct. You're going through multiple channels and things take time. So I'm always working on different things, different pitches, trying to get meetings, taking meetings, and just things of that nature, really. It does look like I will be hosting. I shouldn't say that I will be hosting. I think we're going to have the same host for the VIP room at the National as we did this past year, in which
that would be Ludex.
Yeah,
correct.
Good friends of ours.
Yeah, they're awesome. I love the whole team is great. I stay in close contact with Brock specifically. Me and him really hit it off. He gives me feedback on things that he sees, that I'm doing business wise, and I help them with some referrals. Part of what I do is a lot of networking outside of doing art. I'm always networking, and whether it benefits me or benefits my friends and partners, a lot of this stuff just goes hand in hand. So if I'm talking to somebody and I like their vibe and I think they might work well with someone else that I'm friendly with, I'm definitely going to connect them, So
Absolutely.
I'm really
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to bring up that you just mentioned, is when at least when I first became aware of you in the hobby and everything, obviously it was through your art. You're one of the foremost guys in card art. The stuff you do is tremendous. At the National last year, you had one of the coolest MJ little programs and idea and setup that I'd seen in a long time. I thought it was awesome. But one thing that I really, really am impressed by is that you've taken your card art and continued to do that. But like you said, you've really embraced all the other sides of the hobby as well and gotten involved, whether it be shows. Now you're talking about the National. I know you do a lot with the main show up there, which I want to talk about. But what made you want to, move into that? Was it just the love of the hobby? Because a lot of the card artists that I see, they stick to their art. They do other things, they do collaborations, but you've really kind of branched out and made art just one of the many different things that you're doing in the hobby.
Well, first off, I appreciate it. I definitely do work hard in a lot of aspects. So to know that that's recognized is always good to hear. It was really more just natural. It's a reflection of who I am. In all honesty, it was never really any thought process to it. It's just me. I've always had an interest in clothing, always been really involved in hip hop, doing music a long time ago and just kind of being part of that culture. Always designing logos for friends. I was never went to school for graphic design or anything, but I was always someone that any of my friends that had a business or a band, maybe they needed a flyer, they knew that I could get it done. So having an interest in clothing, getting into the hobby as an adult, which happened around 2015, after I took an extended time away. Once I was like in my later years in high school, I just drifted away from it and didn't come back to it until I became a father. And my firstborn was old enough to start playing t-ball, and it was like, well, you're playing baseball, we're going to get you some baseball cards. And how I wound up back in it. But going to the National and going to card shows, I noticed that there's, and there still there's a lot of room to expand on, like apparel in the hobby. see a lot of things that are really great and that you're like, oh wow, I would love to wear that shirt that is like specifically for the hobby. Adding more flair to, like the Zion cases. We introduced a Zion case for the first time, myself and a handful of other artists, including Andy Friedman, Chuck Styles, Naturel. My case was a collaboration with Marley McFly. So bringing fun graphics to things that are usually plain, like a Zion case. They've all just kind of been. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Just
no, it's solid color.
And I was lucky enough to actually get to see that because, I worked very closely with Clint in Zion cases. I was actually lucky enough to see that before everything was done.
So, for anybody that doesn't know, I'm sure you guys do, Zion has really expanded on the quality and the options of their cases, and they can now print directly to the cases. And we're going to be talking about doing even more exciting and interesting patterns and things that haven't been done yet. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just a natural thing. I have an interest in clothing and graphic design. I've been a promoter. I've worn so many different hats throughout my lifetime, including nightlife promotion. I still have really strong connections in Boston from my years down there, which I have mutual friends with, like Chris Costa and Big Night Live and Card Vault, which is another brand you're going to see me doing more with this year, including having art in their shops, which I already do, but we're going to expand on that. And I'm going to get involved a little bit, hopefully, with what they have going on at Big Night Live, which for anyone not from the Northeast, Card Vault just opened up their third physical location, which is downstairs below TD Garden, where the Bruins play. And they also have the Boston owners. The sports group also owns Big Night Live, which is a nightlife concert venue, which is also right above Card Vault. And it's all kind of the same group. So I made a pitch for creating cards for some of the musicians that come through.
Love it.
If they've got lineups like they have Marshmello, they have Aoki's a no-brainer. At 50 Cent, they've got Travis Scott doing a DJ set in December. So if they can send me a lineup, a couple months in advance, the artists that make sense that they think will be receptive to the cards, I'll hopefully design some, send it to them, and they'll have them sign a few, and they'll be available exclusively down at Card Vault or something along those lines. So it's a way for them to promote both their music venue and the card shop at the same time, which they hadn't thought of. So those are the types of things I'm always brainstorming and trying to bring to companies and explain to them that this cardboard, sports card and trading card world is a whole avenue of promotion and marketing that they haven't tapped into.
Now, how big, just so curious, how big of a venue is that?
I couldn't really tell you. It's not massive, so they're not bringing in like people usually that are playing stadiums. They do have Travis Scott coming to do,
I believe, I'm pretty familiar with it. I believe it's around like, I think capacity probably be around 8 to 10, probably somewhere around there.
That's
okay. So that's still decent size.
Yeah, it's not a 2,000. It's not a hole in the wall little 2,000 person venue or anything like that.
You're not going to have Taylor Swift in there,
right?
Like it's not that type of venue, but it's a really nice venue, and the way it's set up musically, really, it's all like booths. So it's all, like you have your private little sections. There's general seating area or like general floor area in front of the stage. And then you're surrounded by all these like basically like almost like bottle service type of booths. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, I just love just the idea, for one, being a musician and someone that was a touring musician for a long time. I just love seeing music and cards kind of get intertwined again, because it is so hard to find music cards. There are some from back in the day. But they're very hard to find and very rare to come across. But I love the collaboration, and just like you said, there's an avenue to get cards, to get the hobby into something that we normally don't have. I love that.
It's funny you mentioned that. I actually just found a binder that had all of my rock cards from like the late 80s, early 90s in it.
Nice.
You know, all the hair bands and, you know, stuff
yeah.
like that. It's like, man, they really don't do this stuff anymore.
Yeah, I bought a really cool Nirvana card. It was actually 3 of them. I forget who made it. It was some type of Panini product, I think, from the early black and white photo of the whole band together. And I bought a lot of. There's 3 of them on eBay. It was a really good price. I'm gonna send them all to SGC. I think. I'll keep all the others.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, also wanted to give you a quick congratulations while we are talking about grading. For those that don't know, if you do have Card Carver stuff, your stuff is recognized now by BGS and PSA as well.
Yes. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Awesome.
The Beckett thing I worked on for a while, and I still have some other stuff. I'm hopefully going to be doing more and more with Beckett. We are doing a giveaway that's coming up. I just finished up a Patrick Mahomes patch card that we're going to give away on Instagram together. And I kept this ready. So this is something
wow.
Slab by Beckett. I brought this to the National, and it's just got, it's an authentic cut word written by Lincoln. So it's cut out. So with my working with Beckett currently, kind of like almost like a superpower that I have that other card artists don't have right now is the ability to get my cards dual authenticated. I did a Spike Lee card that came out awesome. It was BGS authentic card carver and Spike Lee autograph, which like when I saw that on the slab, I was like, this is incredible.
Of course, man. Of course.
Like that, but yeah, so we're doing a video. We took some footage at the National with me explaining, this Lincoln cut here. And I have basically a homage to Chicago and Illinois card that I'm making that has Abraham Lincoln in the middle. It's got Jordan, Ernie Banks, Patrick Kane, and Walter Payton.
Is that were you consigned to do that, or was that something you're just going to be?
Just something that will be made available probably at the next National, along with some others working on.
Scott's trying to weasel his way into getting
I want that.
Right. It's going to end up being a Beckett authentic card carver autograph, authentic Abraham Lincoln handwriting, all in one.
Okay, so all right, so that immediately tells me it's out of my price range. But that's going to be cool. I want that. I still want it.
And that's awesome to hear, because I mean that's the reactions that I go for, and I like to do stuff like that. Being able to do the dual signature thing, I think, is super unique, and in the long run, will be
one though. I will say that one you should save and not do it at this year's National. You should save it for the 2025.
It's a good call. That's true. It's true. I have stuff that I'm hopefully going to have for this next National anyway. But yeah, regardless of whether it's available at the next National or not, I'm sending that in the next couple of weeks here for them to take care of. I've got a Walter Payton autograph that I'm going to do soon. I have a set of Christian Hernandez JSA authentic batting gloves. He signed each glove in silver, but also inscribed each one game used. So I'm make some type of really cool, probably a booklet with those. I don't know if I'll put both gloves into the booklet. That could be like really unique. I think I might keep one of the gloves for myself and just make one card with it. But yeah.
So speaking on the card art, because you're talking about doing some absolutely incredible pieces here, and I've got a piece from you. I've got a piece from a lot of different card artists, but for everyone listening that might not know too much about it, how long is the process, to do something like that? Because your work is incredibly professional. It's not a couple of things of glue thrown together that's falling apart. You're making some very high quality stuff. What is the time, that you have to put in to even make stuff like that?
It's honestly hard to even say, because we're also talking about if you start trying to include the time spent maybe on eBay trying to find those Christian Hernandez signed gloves, that type of the time that I spend in flea markets and shops here in Maine, and going to shows and stuff and going through bins trying to find the cards, especially with the pop art cards, which for anybody that maybe doesn't know, the thing that I enjoy doing the most, and I think that I'm probably known the most for, is my pop art mashup style, where I take maybe like just as an example, the MJ rookie card, like a reprint of an iconic card like that. I cut it up and I mash it up with cards where I cut up, and it might have Garfield and Superman and Marilyn Monroe and Super Mario. It's endless, and I love to just mash it all up with
Simpsons.
Simpsons. It
Yeah.
goes on 80s, 90s nostalgia, the cartoons, the shows, all of it. I love to do that stuff. So to have the catalog that I have of cards to go through, just acquiring the catalog I have is a lot of time, but it's like 5 to 8 hours is probably what I estimate on cards. They all vary too. I mean, some of them are more simple. Like you'd be talking 3 to 5 hours for something that just has a couple images.
Well, one of my favorite things is that you always a lot of the big cards, some of the features and things you do, and I know this probably harkens back to your promotion and everything like that. You tie so much stuff to it. Like with the MJ, you had the exclusive hats, going back to apparel. Anything that you can add in to kind of create that entire experience. I love that because I think we've seen over the last couple of years that card art is a very, very big part of the hobby now.
Yeah.
Very big, especially, grading companies acknowledging cards, getting you guys on slabs. The hobby as a whole has really embraced it completely. But I love the extra added step that you do of going beyond just making a cool looking card, which we know you can do. I love the collaborations and things like that. It's great.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun because I get to really combine everything that I love with these cards, which, it's basically limitless. Like I mentioned, the possibilities are endless with this stuff. I think that you can use trading cards to promote anything, just about, really. It's just a matter of finding the way to do it, which I've been trying to do.
Very nice. So one other thing that I know you've got going on, as you said, you wear a lot of hats outside of that Cubs hat you got on right now. You're heavily involved in the main show. I'm not exactly sure of the exact name. I apologize, but let everybody know a little bit about the shows that you've got going on and everything, because you guys are building something pretty big up north.
Yeah, so me and my friend Chris founded the Maine Collectors Convention, which is held annually now. This will be our second annual show. It's a 2-day show in Augusta, Maine at the Augusta Civic Center. It's usually in April, and this year we had to change the dates just because of a conflict with the venue. And it's going to be in June. I forget the exact dates, which is terrible. We had to make the change recently, but if you check out the Maine Collector Convention on Instagram, you'll find all the information. I'll be promoting more of it on my page. We also do other shows too, just 1-day shows, which are kind of more or less quarterly. And almost every month we host trade nights too, which we try to do in different locations. I've got ideas for some really unique type of trade night, more of like experiences rather than just going to the card shops, which is fine and we enjoy it. But I think to switch it up and do it in different types of venues, whether it be on like a ferry boat out of Portland Harbor.
There you go.
Or what it might
cool.
be. Because there's like these cruise boats. That's one thing that I looked into where, out of Portland Harbor, we could get one of these cruise boats that goes out in the harbor for a 3-hour cruise. Just a matter of if there's the number of people that are willing to pay maybe $30 or $40 for the experience. So those are things that I'm looking into. And really excited about this next convention this coming June, though, because we did announce that Jose Canseco is our first autograph guest.
Nice.
He's so great. We just had him as one of our guests. He's a great guest live, man.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on your Instagram that you had him at your booth, which is awesome. We're really excited about that. You don't see names like that really in Maine, so we're just trying to do something different. It started as a card show, but as we've talked about, I have so many different influences and interests. And Maine is such, it's not a small state, but in terms of population and, the community, it is smaller. Um, so like I said, you don't see a ton of people. Um, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. what
So
else?
Maine is not like a destination where
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
people are
Yes,
gonna like make a point to like, oh, I'm gonna go up to Maine.
yeah. Well, what I say is that rather than just doing sports cards, we expanded it to pretty much any kind of
Yeah,
collectibles. We can
Mhm.
all the different audiences. Since it's not just one large audience, we figured we would try to bring it all under one roof the best that we could, which worked out really well last year. We had Andy Friedman came. He did our show poster. Uh,
nice.
yeah, and we had Ari Lehman, who's
Mhm.
from
Yeah,
Friday the 13th.
yep.
So this year, I mean, Ari Lehman was our big art autograph guest last year, and our first announcement for this year is Jose Canseco. So
Nice.
yeah, really excited to bring a name like that here and just be creating experiences. I think that that's that word experience is something that I've been hyper focused
Yep.
on for a while, especially when it comes to these trading card shows, because when you go to a show, it's cool to see cards like you always do, but when there's no interaction, it,
Yeah.
it feels a little dry to me. And
Yeah.
my interaction is outside of, it's important to have great vendors that talk to the people and are friendly and will work with people. Um, but if outside of that, if there's nothing for kids to do, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
let's make
Well,
this.
no, I see it all the time, and that I completely agree with you there, especially as someone that does all the collecticons and a ton of other traveling shows across the year. I've got, I think, 18 lined up already next year, not including local. You see so many of them, but like you said, that the card show experience itself is a great one. But I think we are at that time where it does need to expand a little more into that experience if we want to grow and bring more people in. Because like you said, by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if they're there at 9 or 10, most kids, no matter how much they love cards, 95% of them are ready to go home,
Yep.
tugging at daddy's leg, whatever it is. But there's a lot of things I think we can do as someone that sets up at shows, works with a lot of promoters and everything as well. I think there's a lot that we can start to do and branch out from, hey, the hobby is a lot more than just a table with cards on it. We can really create a destination type of event for people.
For sure, and to that point of what you said, the kids may be getting burnt out after a few hours. If there's more activities for them to do, that might give dad a little more time to work the room and spend some money. Um, so it's just beneficial to everybody. It's going to create those memories for the kids and keep them wanting to come back and keep them excited. It helps. I mean, I know for one thing that I've really enjoyed about the hobby is the time spent with my kids. My kids have gotten into it. My
Yeah.
old, my youngest especially. And I had a dad at a recent trade night that I was talking to him about my art, and my oldest son came up to me and was like, "Hey, it's about to do this deal," and like asking me what I thought. And he walked away, and this gentleman was like, "Oh wow, that's so cool, the bond that you have with your son through this." And I honestly, like, I've always appreciated, but I hadn't put a whole lot of thought into it. And I was like, wow, like, this guy's right, that this is something special. Amazingly, I know there's people out there that have a hard time connecting with their kids. So to find for anything really to connect with your kids through is can be a blessing. So
Yeah.
yeah, helping to make that possible for other people is part of the mission.
Beautiful. Absolutely love it. So you've got everything. You mentioned a bunch of stuff going on right now. Before we let you go and everything, a couple more things. What's in the pipeline right now? You got any shows coming up? Anything like that you're doing?
Um, I don't really have any shows going on. I just went down to the Gillette show that Card Vault put on. Um, and I honestly don't really have anything planned out. You know, the national is definitely my big one for the year. I'm trying to get to a point where I can travel and do one or two more, you know, like bigger shows a
Mhm.
year outside of my region. And I'm trying to go to more shows here in the Northeast as much as I can. But you know how the struggle can be with kids and just life,
Oh yeah.
working a full-time job outside of the hobby. So that is why I kind of stay so focused on the networking that I do and the brand partnerships and stuff, because being where I am in Maine, I don't have the luxury that some of these other guys, you know, that are in California,
Hmm.
other places where they can really network more on the ground and do things in person more. So um, my focus is trying to get Tops to give me some type of contract for 2024.
Hey,
Yeah,
Tops, I
Yeah.
know you watch the show. I know multiple employees at Fanatics and Tops that watch the show. Hire this man right now. Contract, write it up.
I need a meeting. I have so many ideas, you know, not just for collaborations that I can do directly, but other ideas for Tops. So I'm hopeful that it'll happen. I had a great talk with them at their booth at the National. Met one gentleman who's the director of, I don't remember if it was product or what it was, but I put my cards in his hands, took them out of the case, really quality and everything. And it was a great conversation. And I was told that we would probably circle back at the end of the year. So the
Well, you
time,
definitely print better than they do. So, I mean,
Yeah.
he had to have liked that. But no,
well,
that's
I,
awesome.
I'm hoping to do something similar to, you know, like what Luke does. Luke, the
Uh-huh.
card. Luke is really the first what I consider like card artist. There's other, I think that we're kind of like the underground of card artists. You have other guys that I'm now friends with and that, like lucky enough to consider peers, but am still in awe of people such as like Chuck Styles, Andy
Sure.
Free, these guys that have already done stuff with Tops. Um, but where Luke has his deal as kind of the first like underground artist, I'm trying to be the next guy and the first one that cuts, because Luke, of course, paints his cards
Right.
with
Yeah.
art. So this would be something totally different. The qualities there, the possibilities are endless, like we've talked about. I know that some of my patch cards look a lot better than some of the stuff that they put out. That,
Oh, yes.
quite frankly,
Yeah.
you guys post stuff. I even have people message me sometimes like, "Hey, look at this tier one cut autograph of Ernie Banks," and they literally just cut the piece of paper and like hazardly threw it into this card. It's like, and it just leaves so
Yeah.
much desire.
Cuts off half the signature, and
Yeah. So
yeah.
let's make, you know, I want to make like truly special one of one cut autograph and relic cards. Do things like, you know,
Let's do it. And hey, Tops, I'll give you a great idea right now. We just got the MVP buyback program going on right now. Y'all are about to get a whole bunch of Chrome cards, MVPs. Let's let this man do something with them, guys. Let's get some
right?
contracts up. Let's
Yeah.
do some fun stuff. There's a lot that can be done. And that's one thing I really want to see is the car, and you're starting to see it a lot more, but I really want to see more artists and card artists get that recognition and get those contracts, because up until even shoot 5 years ago, maybe, like you never knew who designed or drew the cards, or who,
Yeah.
if they weren't pictures, they never put a spotlight on the artist. It really wasn't until they did their Project 2020 that artists really were ever even, talked about. Now, if you were a diehard hobbyist, you knew who did some of this stuff, but to the casual collector, they had absolutely no idea. And I really think we're at a time now where I hope at least they start to embrace that card art world as well, now that they see A, the demand for it, but B, just the amazing stuff that you guys can do.
Well, what they really need to do is they really need to create an artist-driven set
Yes.
where you get like 5 to 10 card artists. You're going to design the cards for, let's say a 200 card set. Pack pulled. Most of them are going to be prints. You can do autos, but then the originals can get tossed in there as one of ones.
Yeah.
Where some of the people can actually get their hands on the original that the piece was the prints and stuff were designed on. And it could be a Topps Chrome product.
Yeah,
and I think that would sell really well.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of different ways to do that too.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I hope it continues because, like I said, there's a market for it, and it's nice to see people get the recognition that they deserve and everything. And I definitely think for underground artists, as you like to say, I definitely think you'll be getting one of those contracts here sooner than later. But one thing I did want to ask you before we wrapped up today's show is we've seen a lot online lately, and this kind of goes back to the show feel and everything, but we've seen a lot of people talking about the doom and gloom aspect of the hobby. A lot of people down on the internet, like always, and everything. As someone that is involved on the show side of things, the card art side of things, what's your view of the hobby right now? Where do you see it going maybe in the next year?
I think the hobby's in a great place. I mean, if you go to card shows, you see lots of people really enjoying themselves. I think a lot of the comments and things that you see are a reflection of where our economy is at, combined with some of the shenanigans going on with the card companies, which you guys were talking about before I came on. So, I mean, there's always going to be some people that aren't happy with the current outlook, but I think that if you are involved and you do see the big picture, you can see that we're in a great place. If you are a true collector and you're not just in it to flip cards and, just get a quick buck, I think that you're probably happier than you have been in a little while, because those prices have started to come down and you can afford some cards that you maybe couldn't afford before. Which that's kind of the boat where I am as a collector. A lot of the prices have started to drop a little bit on some things, so I can grab some stuff that I might not have 2 years ago. And I think that we're moving in a good direction. I mean, the people are still coming out. I think that the interest is still growing. So I think that the sky is really the limit, really.
I think it's a very good take on it.
No, I completely agree, and you're dead on. Anyone that I always tell anyone, if you have a negative viewpoint on anything in the hobby, just hit up a show. Go to a show; it'll change your mind completely. If you
my thought is, if you have a negative viewpoint on it, why are you in it?
Yeah, why are you in it? Well, that's my first thing too. Yeah, why are you still here?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of that is from, like those people that had really came into it in the last few years during COVID, when, prices were soaring. It was pretty easy to jump in and out of things and, make a buck. And now that it's maybe not as easy to do that, a lot of people are kind of like, oh, what's going on? This sucks. But
the guys that were in it, that were flippers and guys that were in it to make a quick buck, this wasn't a hobby for them.
Right.
It's a job.
Exactly.
And that's fine. Look, everybody's got their own thing, but
that's not what sustains the hobby.
But I remember you and I suffered through the late 80s from a card standpoint.
Yeah.
And late 80s, early 90s, the junk era.
Yeah.
We lived it. This is nothing compared to
that. No. I think that hopefully, I don't want to use the word mainstream, but as it is growing in popularity, hopefully the types of things that I'm trying to do will continue to be successful and help the industry grow. And that's in the areas of, infusing the music industry with cards more, and other cultural type of things outside of sports. I think that's really going to help grow the genre. If we can see those worlds continue to collide and see more of those types of collaborations, it's only going to help the entire hobby grow. And I feel like we're moving in that direction anyway, currently. So I feel like that's something to keep an eye on.
No, very well said. Very, very well said. All right, man. Well, we greatly appreciate you joining the show today. Before we wrap up and everything, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you if they're interested in checking out some of the art, maybe the the main convention that you guys have going on soon, where can they find some of those details out at?
You can find me on all social media platforms at the Card Carver. You can find my work on thecardcarver.com. I have a gallery there where you can see previously sold items. I always have new cards popping up on there for sale. There's some stuff on there now if you want to take a look. And I'm pretty busy on social media. So if you're ever looking to talk or ask about anything, please reach out. I'm always happy to chat about the art, the hobby, what's available, or what you might want me to do. So, yeah. And main collector con on Instagram is where you can find more info on our shows.
Beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
well, Tom, thank you so much for coming on the show. Glad we were finally able to do this, and hope you have a wonderful holiday. And I'm sure we'll be seeing each other at a show very, very soon.
For sure. I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Absolutely, bud. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, guys. And that was the Card Carver, Tom. Man, such a good dude. I've been wanting to have Tom on this show for a long time. I met him right when he started out, right when card art really became a thing. And such a great guy. Great guy and a great ambassador for the hobby.
Oh, I would agree 100%. And I got to be honest, I was skeptical when the card art phenomenon first came.
Mm-hmm.
I was very skeptical.
Me too. Now I've got two sitting right here.
Yeah, I'm like, this is kind of stupid. And I'm not talking about the sketch cards,
right?
That appeared in products for years, but
the creation, taking other cards and stuff like that. Yeah, right.
I thought it was kind of dumb.
Uh-huh.
And then my thinking evolved over the last couple of years, and I think it's probably one of the cooler things to hit the hobby in the last 20 years.
No, I completely agree, man. Looking at, other artists and stuff like that. Look what Tyson Beck has been able to do. The Tyson Beck drops that he does sell out in literally 30 seconds. He gets these exclusives with athletes, comes out with an exclusive set. They're not even bots that are buying it up. It's people. And they're gone in a minute. I mean, it really has exploded. And Carver's one of those guys that really you can tell has a very, very big vision for this hobby and where it can go. And I love the thought of the music cards. I think that's great, but also finding all these other little niches that you can use cards and you can use the hobby as a way to, bridge that gap, build a platform, shine a spotlight on the hobby and that industry at the same time. So I love what he's doing up there. And just wanted to say thanks to Tom for finally coming on the show. I've been wanting to have him on for a long time, but great to hear from him.
No, absolutely. Wow. We didn't even get a chance to take a break in between segments either too. So
no.
Maybe we should do that really quick and then we'll hit the last couple on the back end.
Sounds good.
All right. So for all you, the YouTube people, we are not actually taking a break. For all of you podcast people, well, you're not hearing this part anyway, so
nope.
Yeah. All right. A couple of comments. You posted them already. Going back to the first segment, I just want to go over this one.
Oh, I turned.
I did that one. It's potentially rough for the football market, but maybe this forces collectors to covet position players. The funny thing is, I know Matt. And I'm not surprised. Matt is a big collector of linemen.
Beautiful.
Guys who are future Hall of Fames or, future Hall of Famers potentially. And the funny thing is, so we mentioned during the interview the VIP room at the National that is, that was hosted by Ludex.
Yeah, looks like we got some breaking news on that show also right there.
Well, hold on. Well, before you get to that, this is Matt from Ludex. I can tell you that right now. So Matt, what's up, man? We'll talk to you later. But all right, Drew, breaking news. What do you got?
Well, no, I was saying that Tom's gonna be involved in it. Yeah, no, Tom broke it. I didn't break shit. No.
Oh, I thought you were talking about something new, something different.
No,
like different topic or anything like that. No. So
no.
Yeah, so obviously we know the guys at Ludex are watching in the office today. So welcome. What's going on, guys? All right. And that was pretty much all we had.
Yep, Panini Smash Hits was the music set, by the
Yep.
way, for those of you watching. That's actually got some great cards in it too. But I actually was looking for music cards. There's a great set from like the 50s and 60s. They're just impossible to find. Like they're so difficult. I would love to see stuff like that come back. Topps does a little bit with my friends in the Gaslight Anthem right here, things like that. But I would really like to see it take on a life of its own and get a little bit bigger. But
and we know that there's guys that are in the hobby, that are musicians that are in the hobby. I mean, I'm not talking about you or
I know,
like that. Ian from Newfound Glory.
Yep.
He's heavily involved in the hobby.
I grew up with Ian. Yeah. I grew up about 30 minutes from Ian.
Yeah. So he's involved in the hobby. There's a lot of other guys that are just involved in sports, in general, and that are just starting to get into the collecting aspect of things.
Absolutely.
And that's one of those cool things. So, all right, so let's bring it back for the podcast people. And,
yes, guys, remember to leave any questions, comments you do have in the chat. We'll get to anything else at the end of the show. If there's any questions you have, please let us know as we do stream all these live. And please hit that like, subscribe, and that little bell, and all those other things that every single streamer asks you to do.
Yep, exactly.
I'll let you bring us back, buddy.
So yeah, we'll bring us back. I think let's hold off on the major sales segment.
I was about to say a thing.
I think
Carol
we go
and my rock.
Carol, and then we'll talk about the other. Yeah, exactly. Woo! All right, so welcome back, everybody. Thank you for putting up with a little bit of advertising, unless, of course, you were watching live on YouTube or recorded on YouTube, in which case you just had to put up with the two of us, bantering back and forth about some things. Something popped up recently, and we've talked about certain, things like this, not with this specific player, but with others, over the course of the last couple of years. And I think it's one of the coolest things that we've seen in the hobby is players themselves starting to get into it. Obviously, we've seen Mike Trout, getting into it heavily. We know Derek Jeter is heavily involved in the hobby now. But Corbin Carroll.
Yes.
Rookie of the year. Corbin Carroll just purchased his own Cosmic Superfractor.
Yeah, his Cosmic Non-Auto 101 Superfractor. And he's also posted, I think, 5 or 6 other big cards of his and other players that he knows on his Instagram lately. So if you were to take a look at his Instagram lately, it almost looks like a hobby account.
No, that is true. And here's my question. Is Corbin Carroll going to be fighting Jordan Lawler for his Superfractor rookie next year when that pops out?
Yep.
I'm curious because we know Jordan Lawler's in the hobby. We know Jordan Lawler listens to the show. So
yes. Yeah. Very much so.
So I'm very curious to see if the two of them are going to wind up fighting it out once his Superfractor pops off. But here's the thing though: if Corbin Carroll's Superfractor Auto were to hit the market, would he go for it?
I don't think so.
Because the only thing that's really different about the non-auto and the auto is the auto, and let's be honest, he can sign anything he wants.
I was about to say, if there's one person in the world that could care less about that autograph that's on a Corbin Carroll card,
it's Corbin Carroll. Yes, but as a collector,
yes,
it's like guy, do I want to go for it? Do I want to get it? Do I want to try to buy it? Or is he going to be satisfied with the non-auto and maybe signs the non-auto and then has it slabbed authentic?
I would personally, but I just love seeing athletes get, like you said, getting more involved in the hobby. Jordan Lawler, obviously now Corbin Carroll. We know Benny Montgomery, one of our favorites as well.
We know Blaze Jordan.
Yeah,
is involved in it.
You mentioned Mike Trout earlier. Shoot, Mike Trout was buying back in the day where it got to the point where literally he had to be contacted by his management, and they had to tell him, dude, stop buying cards off eBay under your real name.
Yes.
Of Mike Trout, because, dude, stop. Like he was buying up that much stuff. So, you know,
I mean, we're talking about like same level of buying that, you know, the comparative thing would be Phil Mickelson's manager telling him to stop betting through his bookie using his real name.
Yes.
It's that kind of situation.
Yes.
You know, with that.
And, you know, you're also seeing, you saw that video a couple months ago, Bobby Witt handing out the slabs to people at the stadium, you know, to the kids. Like, I love this involvement. And I really think that I'm curious if this is something that the Players Association and the leagues are starting to push more, or if this is something where the athletes are so much more involved in the hobby now, whether it's signing more cards, doing special events, things like that, that they're truly just saying, hey, I really like this. I really want to keep doing it. Or is it a combination of both?
I think it's actually it's an era thing. If you look at it, the athletes that were born in like the late 80s and 90s grew up during the junk era. There wasn't a lot of collecting going on.
Yeah.
And then, you know, mid 2000s, things started to explode again. And you see a lot of these guys that were born in 2000, 2001, 2002, you know, that would be 8 to 10 years old by the time 2010 rolled around, when, you know, things really, you know, Trout stuff started coming out and everything was starting to boom. Yeah. I think these guys grew up with it and never took a break.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's what it actually is. As opposed to the guys that grew up like when, you know, around the same era that we did, where we collected until we were maybe 12, 13 and then stopped in high school and, you know, took a decade off. And most of the guys just never got back into it.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then there's guys like us that did. So I think it's I think because the hobby has been so strong for such a long period of time, you know, without that, you know, junk era, I think they just kept on going through it. And this is the result that we're seeing through that.
Yeah. Well, I absolutely love it, because not only does it just shine more attention on the hobby in general, but it also, I mean, it gets you that much closer to the players. You know what I mean? You have that kind of a kindred relationship. You feel you have something in common with these players, that, you know, and a lot of these guys are actually going to shows. I mean, we've seen tons of athletes, high profile ones, just walking the show. I've got a couple names that walked the Collecticon after it closed that were very, very, very big name celebrities that, you know, wanted to hit the floor when no one was there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are in this. And like I said, it just gets people closer to the athletes. And the more we can build that camaraderie and that community and get them involved in it more, I think that's something, as we were talking with Carver in the last segment about building and strengthening the hobby, I think that's one way you do it. And I love seeing athletes get involved like this. But Corbin Carroll, man, looks like he's full on board in the hobby. I want to see what he faces after next. I want to see some stuff.
Yeah, and evidently Evan Longoria is the one who kind of got him, you know, either into it or back into it. So thank you, Evan.
Yes, thank you very much.
You know, we'll see what happens as you know, his growth in the hobby continues.
Absolutely, but if you're chasing Corbin Carroll rainbows, you might be fighting the man himself.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, look, I mean, look, that's fine. I get that. You know, you got to do that. But speaking of growth in the hobby,
yes,
we're seeing grading companies pop up like crazy. We have been for the last couple of years.
Are we going to the moon?
I don't know.
Well, we got a red rocket.
I know. I am. All right. So for those of you in a lot of the chat rooms, you may have heard the grading company Red Rocket pop up. And I'm still trying to figure out, and I've been trying to figure out for a long time, is this real? Or is this like a very long-term troll job? I just don't know.
I posted that on a post on my social media yesterday that I really, really hope it's real. God, do I hope it's real. I hope it's real because if you haven't seen it, go on Facebook and type in Red Rocket Grading. Yes, Red Rocket, like what you're thinking of in your head. Red Rocket Grading. This is one of the funniest things I have ever seen in my life, down to they literally asked a question on one of the pages on how to judge centering on a card. And the card had borders. So,
Yep.
so their graders are amazing, but
Now,
there's one person pushing it heavily. Okay.
Hold on. There have been a couple of different slabs that I've seen. The one that you posted was like, it looked like somebody printed it off on their printer in black and white, and
it looked like Jude drew it in like 10 minutes.
It had 6 different, grading categories on it. And I've seen one, I was trying to find the picture of it earlier, that the picture, the flip looked a lot better on the, than on the picture.
It couldn't have looked worse.
But then it also had a bump, like a Red Rocket bump of a half point or something like that. I've been trying to find this, and I just can't. For some reason, it's out there. It was somebody posted it in the chat somewhere, and it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. What I should have done was I should have saved it.
Yeah.
Because that would have been, I should have screenshotted it, because that would have been the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, when have I ever done the smart thing?
Yeah, but if you guys have not seen this, I highly recommend checking it out on Facebook. I just really want to know, is this like a long play April Fool's joke, or if this is truly real? Now, supposedly, they're going to launch a brick and mortar store where they'll be grading on site, which is interesting in and of itself. But apparently that's opening in January, unless this is a massive troll job. But Red Rocket Grading, one of the funniest things I've seen in a very long time. I thought some grading companies that came out were pretty funny. This takes
the cake.
Level.
Yeah, this absolutely takes the cake. Yeah. I just did a quick check on my screenshots. I couldn't find it. But oh man, yeah, this is I just don't know about this.
I don't either. But whoever did it, if it's a troll job, kudos, because you didn't break character once. You have not broken character.
No.
If this is a troll job, you have done great at making yourself look like you don't know how to put together sentences, have no idea about the hobby whatsoever, and think you can just start $1 million company in the world. With their tagline, by the way, is they're the fastest growing grading company in the world. So,
well, but hold on. But if you think about it, if they graded one card and then the next week they graded 2 cards, they just grew by 100%.
That's true.
So that growth is actually faster. If you think about it, if you're growing 100%, that is a faster growth than any of the other companies.
Are we gonna get them on the Gen? Fuck, man. Are we gonna get them on the Genment grading report rates at the end of every month now?
Oh God, they've got to put that on there, just as even if it's a joke.
Please, Genment, do it.
Just put at the end of December, please. I'm begging you. Just put Red Rocket on there with like 2. Or however many pop up in the in the chats that people put up. They're like 6. Whatever the number is, they got to do it.
I hope so.
They have to do it.
I hope.
Oh, too good. Man,
too good.
And I think that is a great place to end it.
I think so. If you guys haven't checked it out, once again, just go on Facebook and type in Red Rocket Grading. I don't think me and Scott can do it any justice. You just got to look. Damn it, now I have to close the show and I'm crying.
It's like...
Just look it up.
I don't get it.
It's great.
I don't get it. I really don't. All right.
Yes, but I do agree. I think that's a wonderful time to wrap up episode 207. of Let Me Get That Potograph. Before we go, I do want to thank our awesome sponsors, of course, Zion Cases, Denver Card Show, Slab Strong, Show Your Slabs, Treasure Hunter Sports Cards, Game Time Sports Cards, and Stand Up Displays. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring the show. Remember, Zion Cases, tons of amazing deals going on right now, but you can always get 10% off of anything, Mag Pros, everything over at Zion. Just use the promo code, the DH, THEDH, and you'll get 10% off of anything on Zion. But I think today and through the week, they actually have 25% off everything. So definitely go check all that stuff out. A lot of our sponsors have some amazing good holiday deals, whether it be just for the beginning of December going into Christmas. So make sure to check all those out. Also, I was just on last week's Hobby Hotline over on Bench Clear Media. Make sure to check that out. I was on with Dr. Beckett. We had a very great conversation about a lot of different stuff. My new article on Hobby News Daily focusing on iconic inserts is also up. We look at the triumvirates of the late 90s this month. Really fun reads. Make sure to check that out as well. But Scott, it's good to be back and always a pleasure, my man.
Yep. And we will have to go back through the archives because, like I said at the beginning of the show, we're approaching show number 100 for me.
I think we are. So we got to celebrate that one.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna celebrate that one once we hit it, and then we'll go from there. But until then, we'll see you guys next week.
Yes, and until then, you guys know the deal. Keep ripping those packs, pulling those hits. We'll talk to you then. Peace. So thank you, everybody, tuning in on YouTube. we got through that last segment. I couldn't, bro. You killed me. You freaking killed me. I can't even talk about this shit without laughing, bro. Like, especially when I made the comment when they said they'd be grading on site, and I said, "Will the inkjet printer be live in person to print the labels?" And they literally thumbs up and loved the comment. Like that's where I don't know if it's a troll. Like, are you stupid enough to think that this was real, or are you looking into the troll?
I just don't know.
It's great. Great.
You know, so between having the cough drop in my mouth to keep from coughing and the the laughing, it's like hard to talk on this one, but I just don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I want it to be real because I want to be able to laugh at something long term.
Right. Yes.
I want it to be a troll job because this is quite possibly the best
it's brilliant
job we've seen.
If this is a troll job, this is freaking brilliant.
I just don't get it.
I don't either.
I don't get it
either at all.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Well, hold on. Well, let me ask
in a Shih Tzu a bullshit.
Well, hold on. Let's ask Matt this question. Will Ludex be able to recognize the Red Rocket slabs when they come out?
Yeah, let's get some breaking news.
Have they sent you guys, images of what the slab's going to look like, so the AI picks up on it and knows that it's a Red Rocket slab? That's what I mean. Look, that may tell you whether or not it's a long-term
job or not. Have they given you the API for their
pop reports and the database and all that kind of stuff? That would be we'll have to see that one.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 207. Once again, we do every single show that we record. We do live here on YouTube. Even if you miss it live, you are always welcome to check it out on video or on the audio versions as well. Beautiful. There's your breaking news in terms of Red Rocket and Ludex.
Yep, exactly. And I'm thinking it's got to be, the mascot has got to be a crossbreed between a Great Dane and a Chihuahua.
There you go. I like it. Well, one thing, they're going to the moon, baby. Fastest growing grating company in the world. That red rocket's going to the moon. I'm surprised they didn't just copy the emoji, honestly, as their logo.
Yeah.
But who knows? As lazy as they are, it wouldn't have shocked me.
Yeah.
But once again, guys, thank you so much. Every single show, as I was saying before, is recorded live. So you're able to tune in, ask questions, any comments, anything like that. It'll also be up on all podcast platforms this evening. And we'll have a lot of really cool stuff coming up here from now till the end of the year. Got some pretty cool surprises that Scott doesn't even know about yet. He'll find out about soon. But we got some really neat stuff in the works. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And yeah, we're going to wrap up this week's show. And we'll be back next week for episode 208. And we'll figure out when Scott's 100th is, because we got to celebrate that.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll have to figure out a way to get your ass up here for that episode. And,
maybe we can. Maybe Jeets will give me a U-Haul, let me drive up there.
Yeah, we'll see. I know I'd fly up here and rent the U-Haul to get everything out of here, but
good call.
That's a better way to do it.
That's a better way to buy bulk. Yeah, good call.
So,
all right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Let Me Get That Potograph. We will see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.
Now the awkward moment while the stream ends.
Oh, yes.